way to start this one, but I'm kind of an idiot. I did mean for a video to come out in between the rounds, and there was a very, very small window that I could have hit, but something came up. But instead of then putting the video out after game one of each of the series like I normally would have, I kind of thought they were going to be quick series, so I just let it slide. I also wanted to see how our league would pan out, and at the time of the start of the last round, the major awards hadn't come out yet, so I waited a little bit. But I shouldn't have, because number one, I actually made the correct predictions. You won't believe that. I'll talk about that later. But number two, back when I could have made it, the league was still up in arms here. We still had a chance for about 3 people, or maybe 4, depending on how the alternatives would have gone, that had a realistic chance of taking this thing down. Now, not so much. So, whatever, missed the round, we'll make up for it. You are going to hear a few of my thoughts, but then we'll get into the league stuff. Here we go. I'm officially entering my old man phase where I'm going to say with actually not really that much reservation of the back in my day and things that I miss. One thing I desperately miss was being at the bar, having conversations with people, and this was when I was on either side of the bar, really, that you didn't really have the answer to. You could kind of argue, you could have a decent time, and it wasn't immediately followed by a Google. Now, normally you think about like that solving trivia questions, but what it also did was allowed you the nice kind of lofty ignorance that comes with not knowing how insane people actually are. Back then, I actually entertained a lot of different conspiracy theories because I kind of think that some of them are based in something. Unfortunately, when you say that now, you think the tinfoil hat, you think Aaron Rodgers rambling on repeatedly about anything and none of it making sense, or even just that kind of age-old flat earther. I'm not at that stage, as most of you know, but I do love a good conspiracy theory. And in that particular case, maybe you know where I'm going with this. A few months back, I did not understand AD for Luka. But AD and flag for Luka, I definitely understand. I'm not necessarily saying this is a league fix, but let's be honest, it's not the first one. I'm not the only one who's commenting on this. I know I'm a couple weeks late because this should have been for last round. But quite literally, if you're paying attention, yes, Ewing always gets mentioned, but you've got some more recent ones. I mean, LeBron is kind of underrated that he just happens to go to his home team. And then later on, Cleveland gets a bunch of picks just so then they can deal to have LeBron back. You've got AD in the first place, actually, the ownership change just before the draft. And as a reward, you get AD. And I think we're talking New Orleans there. So that is well documented territory. I don't actually think this one is that much of a stretch. LA gets a competitive team, which the league really does benefit from, and I'm not even being sarcastic or trying to antagonize Shea here. We know that when LA, when Boston, when New York, some of the staple teams have runs, it makes a difference. The ratings are better. The random YouTube clips, or I guess at this point probably TikTok clips of fans going nuts and actually doing crazy crap, they go way up. I can kind of see where people would be upset about this one. I don't think this one's that harmful, except for the fact that you've just shifted the scales. And kind of in the wrong way. Wouldn't it have made more sense to fix this one to go to the East? And by the way, I don't just think the top one there, if for those paying attention, it was a 0.014% chance that we have the 1, 2, 3 like we did. San Antonio's going to ring that one in. Philly does not deserve it. Of those 3, they might make me the most upset. Although Dallas kind of does, because I was just really leaning into hating them and really not cheering for them the next little bit. I don't know if Flag is going to be a player I really like. I feel like there's things about him I would probably normally like, but I kind of feel he's also going to be really, really easy to cheer against. So that one I'm But if we look at how even this playoffs is rolling down, the West is just stacked. I mean, LeBron should orchestrate a return to Cleveland at this point. He probably would win the East handily with very little pushback. I mean, Indy's obviously going to be rolling back. Can the Knicks survive another year under Tebow where they play that many minutes? The Bucks and Giannis, and we don't even know if Giannis is going to be an Eastern Conference player for that much longer. Is that enough to get through now that Boston's hurt? Cleveland, we thought had it, but maybe year 2 will be better. Is Orlando ready? Is Detroit ready? Can you name another run? I mean, are we taking a team like Miami seriously? Because I'm not. I don't know what the answer quite is, but certainly the powerhouse now being in the West and probably having 6 of the top 7, maybe even 8, or 9 of the top 10 teams, arguably, heading into next year being Western teams. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but not much of one. And obviously Tatum's going to return, but by then Boston's cap issues might be rearing its ugly head, and we don't really know what that looks like. Either way, you can tell the NBA is not super pumped with OKC, and that's why they're leaning into the OKC hate. So many people are making a lot of the fact that they're kind of the new Golden State, right? That team that was kind of brought in. We talk about their management and their leadership and their GM as much as we talk about their players. We're starting to like some of the players. We see a new guard that could be a leader for a while, and even though I'll talk about it later and it's going to enrage Rennie a lot, you do have now the MVP sitting on top of OKC. They're primed to win it. I think they're going to take it down. But we're not even waiting for their first championship to hate them. And the hate is coming hard. So, the NBA doesn't really care. It has its storylines. Flag is going to a contender right off the bat. I don't think it's the best fit, but it'll be just fine. Why wouldn't you fix it? It's all over but the pouting here in the final little piece. Shea as the second overall pick, I believe, might be picking the winner. The big steal is obviously Horst. We'll get to a bit of like a grade / breakdown near the end when I do the last video because I'll have to have something more to talk about. But all the points are updated. We had our finalists. Everything else is pretty set. It is looking that obviously right now Horst and Rennie are tied, but we know with the points that Horst get, even if it's not full, he's going to win overall the team's portion. It's just a matter of how close of a run is he making with our boy Shea here. I will say, like I said at the beginning, I did have these series down, and actually now you don't have to believe me. I could be making this up. You know me well enough to know that I admit when I'm incredibly right and incredibly wrong, and in this particular case, had that video gone out, the series actually went exactly as I thought, OKC in 5 and Pacers in 6. Although I will admit the Pacers in 6 didn't go the way it actually went in my head. I didn't see that kind of choke job. I didn't see that many blowouts. I thought all the games would be hard fought and a close finish. So I was wrong about that, right about the games. And I did go back and forth in my head between Indiana in 6 or New York in 7. So I guess I wasn't too far off on that one. So then moving forward, I got OKC in 5. Again, I think they're that much better than the Pacers. Maybe 6, but I think they close it out. I actually haven't looked in who gets home court. I think it's OKC. That's where I'm at. Sorry for the anticlimactic finish. I'll probably be wrong and it'll be Indiana in 7, but whatever. On to the player points. This is where we had the most number of swings. If you haven't looked at this in a while, you got to check it out. Technically, we only have one left, the Citizenship Award. I keep looking that up. I can't even find a date and when they might give it. Last year, they gave it to CJ McCollum, so it didn't factor in. But a couple years ago, this is something that I think Curry's won in the past. I actually think Drew Holiday might have won it in the past, but he won a bunch already this year, as we can see down here. So he won the social justice at least, and the sportsmanship. I can't see him doing the who gives a crap trifecta of that and citizenship on top, but we'll see how she rolls. The big story, Rennie, spoiler alert, you already know this. Maybe I should say rage quit alert. Don't just throw the video out on this one. I'm not saying I agree that the Joker wasn't the MVP, but just the way it was going, it was SGA. So, SGA is the number one pick. Chainer couldn't have done much better. He by far dominated this one, even if someone else gets it. Your steal, obviously, Mobley. I don't want to go player by player here, though, because I am going to be doing that next week. Just to take a look that you were very heavy here. We look at our offensive and defensive teams. Probably a lot of you don't pay attention to the defensive teams as much. It was actually kind of a surprise. You've got people like Kamara and Zubac that were not guaranteed. Amen Thompson, that's a huge jump up. The rest were fairly straightforward. I think it was our Defensive Player of the Year candidates. I think the first, second, and third team, though, for all NBA was kind of the craziest push this year because of injuries, right? There is a full one, if not two, full teams of people who could have competed if they weren't hurt and didn't miss. Because now with this new kind of very narrow margin that you're only allowed to miss so many games, it could impact pools like this, to be honest, in the future. I have heard rumors, but nothing confirmed, that they are considering moderating the games down a bit. So you could miss a few more games and still qualify. I'm going to get to that when I get to our team breakdowns. But let's just say for me personally, that would have made a huge difference. In terms of our player points, it looks like Chainer's going to walk on this one. So nice that you got the first round pick and you took advantage of it. But like I said, It will depend, I guess, a little bit on our finishing spots, but not too much. And this is where we go to our kind of overall Chainer with the small lead, but we know his teams are out, and we know that Horse are not. As it stands right now, it looks like Horse is going to take this one down. And the reason I'm being sheepish with my language, and most of you know this, I do not believe that people have the right to sports jinx people out of spite, and I would never do that to my buddy Horst here or any of you in this pool. I'm going to do a quick recount just to make sure, because if it comes down to if it goes the way I think it's going to go, and Shea gets 10 more points and Horst gets, what was it, the 8, I think, he would just squeak it out. And well, it'd be by 3 points, but if by luck the citizenship tends to go to one of Chainer's people, it would be by 1 point. So I am going to do a recount over this next round. I will let you know if there's any points that are different. I just want to make sure, since it's me tabulating, I do my best to pay attention to this. I just don't want it. If it ends up being a 1 point win, I want to make sure it's legit. I'm sure you guys can do the same thing. So I'm not saying congratulations yet, because I do not want to jinx. I am saying that it is really down to a couple. Rennie, you definitely needed that MVP. We can have that conversation. That might be part of my wrap up. I totally agree with you, but you know the way this thing works. If you're going to win it multiple times, you got to bang it over the head, and you got to do it early. He had a late run. I mean, either one, we're going to be fine, and especially that playoff matchup going back to back. I'd still rather have Joker, but for the long run, it is what it is. You put up those kind of splits shooting wise, and you're going to get that kind of attention. I'm going to save that more for the end. And plus, Rennie, just deep breath, buddy. Deep breath. I think the cat is out of the bag, and I think for the second year in a row, I do not know that we're going to have this going all the way down to the wire. It did go down to the finals. I think it's set, but like I said in the previous bit, recounts can definitely happen. So I'm not going to say a formal congratulations. I do not believe in jinxing, and I am going to make one final wrap-up video. So this one's done for now. The next one will likely be filmed in Canada, but we'll see how the situation goes, how the last series is. Till then, best of luck in the finals. Good luck / congrats to our potential probable winner. And for everybody else, hope you're doing well.